Green. Okay, are we good? Are we gonna stay good? It's gonna stay in green. Come on.
Chat is connected for me. Welcome to the chat room. Oh, in the meantime, I'm trying to sign up to the Twitch chat thingy so I can actually type chat if I need to. But it won't let me put in a password, saying it's too weak.
Okay, we're live with one viewer. Orange, green. Oh, there's a yellowy. It's piss green. Now regular green. Okay. I'm just gonna stay on OBS. Because holy shit. Again, if... Okay. I don't know who's actually here now. Live with 0 viewers. If anyone can hear this, and again, I'm not talking to you because, like, of course you can hear it. I'm on Discord.
Yep.
But if anyone can hear this, if the stream goes down again, I'm just gonna call it for the night. Just because, oh, it's looking good. We're still in green after a minute. Purely because, like, that's 1, 2, 3. We can actually count 1, 2, 3, 4. We've got 4 episode 34s. That's just because when it stops, if it starts again, it'll just start a new thing. It won't stitch onto the end. Even though I think it would be cool if it had like a 10-minute hold time of like if you just stream. Okay, it's in orange again. Shit. Okay. I'm just gonna sit here and I'm gonna stare at OBS and be like, behave, you. I don't like technology. Like, I'm grateful that my power didn't go out when literally everyone I've spoken to has been like, yeah, power's out. It really sucks. This morning. And I was just sitting there going like, okay. Boiling hot water, cooking food, feeling like a massive prick. For a simple luxury. But yeah, no, this is the most annoying thing that could happen to anyone. Their stream go down.
Is it like is purely an internet?
Well, so we good now? I hope so. Orange. Piss green. Green.
Wait, did you get a comment?
Yep.
Cool. Like, I logged into the chat, but then like the video played while you were talking, and I was like, "Is this the start of the video or midway through?" So I'm now in the chat. I'm able to.
Right.
Cool.
Just for because people seem to be coming in again. Or not. I don't actually know. If it goes down again, I'm just gonna call it for the night. I'm just gonna have to keep repeating that because, like, I'm looking at OBS and it's like, it's in red, it's in orange. You're losing half your frames. You're losing 9% of your frames.
Ray, you are 0613. Thanks for coming back.
Now, Ryura's good. Often hangs out. Them and Bardo. Ooh. I'm going to play one more game. And if it gets worse, sure. I'll just be watching OBS like a hawk. So I'm just gonna go with my generic Ghostrick, I guess.
Oh, I see what's happening there. So I think I need to reopen that.
Cyber Dragons. I still need to get my third of the Cyberdark structure deck. Oh my god, cross out Designator. I never thought I'd see this card be played. It's so fucking mid. Okay. Disabled my hand trap, cool. That's the thing, I need to figure out, just, like, well, first of all, I normally finish at like 10, so there's still half an hour to go, if I don't finish up early. But like, I need to figure out what I'm doing on Sunday. In terms of like, what game am I streaming? Because it's the spoopy day. It's the Halloween. The Ween of Hallow.
Oh, yeah. I had nothing in mind.
Yeah, no. I'm also
like, oh, that's the day of Doctor Who.
Potentially, it could be Monday for us.
Right, yeah, I keep forgetting that it's like we don't get the episode on New Year's.
Hey, it's also you know what you should do? You're gonna suggest like Phasmophobia. Or what was the other one? Devour? Or I could play Metroid Dread. I don't know.
But it's interesting from my perspective here because I've got you on Discord, and then I've got you open in the Twitch thing, which I've muted because it's 3 seconds behind, and then I've got you open in the chat just in case the chat crashes.
Wouldn't it be really funny if you were the reason everything was just...
I've just avoided it. Well, I didn't open any of this until after it crashed.
Also, the thing is, like, okay, it looks like it's stable at the moment.
Yeah. So since I'm new to this as well, I'm like, I have no idea what allows a stream to stay up in the first place.
Well, it's just my internet.
Right.
That's been the entire issue, which is weird because like all the lights are on.
Yeah. I suppose at least it hasn't been a copyright strike. I'm dreading those.
I mean, I've had one. Well, not strike, but like, just like if the
warning, yeah.
And that wasn't even on Twitch. That was on the YouTube re-upload. It was just like, oh, there's some copyrighted music, so the license holders are gonna take any monetization from that. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. I'm not even monetized, YouTube. Take it, fine, whatever.
Yeah. That one frustrates me the most because it's like music isn't. Yeah, they hold strong to the music more than the clips, it seems.
Yeah.
I definitely want like if I play anything, I have to play it on mute, but it defeats the point.
I'm trying to think of like what's the actual word? I've had a video removed by YouTube, a stream upload.
Wow.
Because oh fuck, I don't think I want to say what it was in case this one gets taken down. I might actually just put it in Discord.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Well, hang on, it makes sense that the thing was taken down?
Well, only because, like, I get it's annoying that it just seems like a blanket thing of like some topics are just off limits.
I
It's
would agree if
like
controversial
certain
statements were
words
made.
trigger.
I
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I literally think it's just because it was said during a Pokemon stream, and they're like, "Oh, you can't do that. Pokemon's for kids."
Oh, okay.
Um, and this
Yeah,
is
no, that's probably part of it. It's like it's all that. It seems
except
like there are just certain words or topics. It's
yeah,
like
no, no.
I didn't.
Except my YouTube channel isn't marked as for kids. The video
Yeah,
wasn't marked as for kids. And they
yeah,
wouldn't even
no,
let me in
that,
post add like an age restriction,
yeah,
which would have been like the sensible option.
yeah. It's
It's just
not
really funny to me. I'm not actually upset about it. It's just wow,
Yeah,
that's a
yeah.
thing
I
that
see it as
happened.
a type thing. It's like it's purely just YouTube put in an algorithm and it got it.
Yeah.
It didn't even know what it was. It just got it.
Hmm.
That's what I dread. And like it just gets taken down because I say the wrong topic phrase,
I forgot
which
to
I get
say
why
content
people.
warning.
Well, even then, like I feel like the algorithm doesn't factor that in. It doesn't hear
Yeah,
content
no, no.
warning and then
No, because like doesn't the system just regularly hit like LGBT creators and
yeah,
stuff?
yeah. Or if you there's like even okay, I don't know how to say it without saying some of the words. I'm like, you can't say these phrases
Yeah, no,
because
no.
apparently
Here's the
people
thing.
will just
When you
cut it out.
say you can't say these words, everyone who knows what those words are says them in
Yeah,
their head, and it's like, yes, I will not say that word.
which is an annoying kind of censorship because it sounds like we're talking about swear words and we're just not.
It's like, no,
Like
it's far fucking
it's
worse.
everyday words. Yeah, everyday taught in school words. Yeah.
I'm really surprised that the stream upload wasn't taken down when a while ago, just for fun. I was in this point where like because I drink a lot on stream, I had to really pee. So me and a friend were just like, oh, we're gonna start a piss gang. Um, just a group of individuals who pee, I guess. Not in like
Right.
a sycophantic. No, that's not the word. Not in like a weird way, but just like oh, that's a regular human thing.
Yeah.
Um, like it was just a word before the word gang that described the thing that I was doing at the time.
Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like, there's nothing terrible about it. But
No.
it's just really funny that like if you remove the context of why I said those specific words, I'm surprised those stream uploads
Yeah.
haven't been flagged.
Yeah.
It's been a
But now
really
I'm kind of
fucking weird Doctor Who discussion.
like, I guess like, well, yeah. I mean, like you said, we're up for any topic, but it's
Hmm.
like I'm now just picturing all the ways you could mess with that until you get banned. Just like, what words can we replace that with until YouTube strikes it? How many words can you get through before YouTube strikes it? Like, send in your votes for words. It's like the what's that? The movie guy who says, people sending comments, and he says it in a deep voice at the end of the video, but for trying to get striked on purpose.
Is that the CinemaSins? No.
The other one, yeah.
Honest
Honest
Trailers.
movie trailers. Yeah.
There's a channel I haven't thought of in a very long time due to a lack of substance.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I feel like it's more they've been doing older films on occasion, and I find like because when they pop up, I'm like, oh, they finally did that movie, but algorithm-wise, it's just not doing so well,
Hmm.
or they've got stuck in a bit of a routine. Like at this point, it's like because they're doing old films too. It's like they're making points that are pretty much made in other channels. And it's like, again, it's not their fault. It's just like, yeah, you reach a point where people know your brand. And so
Yeah,
the
it's
things you would
the
say are
the
things
pitch
that are
meeting
known.
guy gonna say super easy barely an inconvenience. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And it's like, I wish that didn't take up like a minute and a half of the video, just those
yeah.
things.
I think Ryan George himself is aware of that. Like, I think in one of the videos he's actually like, "Oh no, I'm not gonna say it every video." Like it's yeah, and even then, like Ryan George has started doing those other ones, the ask the director or like those kind of sketches.
Hmm. I don't know. I
So
I, I haven't watched
and
any
yeah,
recently.
yeah. But that's the thing. It's like you can just see that sooner or later your brand gets predictable just because you've got it down to the point where people know what you're gonna do. It's like, yeah, again, it's like back to the SEMO thing. It's like you know at some point you've got to start trying different things because even if you're really good at the thing you do, it's hard to make that over and over again.
Yeah. See, this is why I like that. If I have anything that's a part of my brand, it's probably the fact that I play Ghostricks every Friday, and like this is the
Yeah.
last time I'm doing it. But just because like it's Halloween themed. So like next Friday I'm gonna move on to a different deck.
Yeah.
And until Ghostrick gets more support. Or like
What
uh there's something else that makes the deck tick.
what major event is there in November? Because I'm assuming for December you do like a Christmas
What no oh
theme.
hang on. I could do Box of Friends with the Princess Cologne thing for Christmas.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But I don't think I'm gonna do anything specific for the November period. It's just gonna be like, oh, what's the next deck that I want to make? I guess.
Sure.
Speaking of, like, I could
Yeah.
probably just play that now, like, as the last. No, should I play one more Ghost Trick and then that, or just do that?
Yeah, I'd go with that.
I said two things, and you said go. Okay, I'm just gonna play Ghost Tricks again, then
Yeah.
end it on like the teaser for the next thing, even though I've already played it on stream before.
Yeah. But no, well then back to Doctor Who, I guess. I guess I sort of got the vibe that people are here for the Yu-Gi-Oh side of
Yeah, no,
things.
no. But like,
Hey, fine.
again,
Alright.
if people have been here for the Piss Gang naming discussion, and they
Yeah.
still come back,
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, actually that's reminded me of the thing that you said that. The Santarans are coming back for Doctor Who.
episode 2.
So yeah, so I'm finding that interesting in that I wonder how they're gonna use
They look so
these classic
cool.
monsters. Yeah, I like the design just because it
It
looks
looks
more
grubby.
like. Because what you reminded me of was like the Paternoster gang, and I was like, yeah, I don't mind them,
Jack,
but I
Jack,
agree.
Jack,
Like,
Jack, we're gonna call our Piss Gang the Paternoster Gang. Okay, go on.
yeah. What was I saying?
It
Yeah, no,
reminded them of them and how
yeah, it's very much
poorly
the
handled they
thing
were.
of. Well, I think it's more like yes, actually, because I suppose it's just more like I'm excited to see the Sontarans done as anything other than comic relief. Same,
Yeah.
I would actually because didn't Chris Chibnall do the two-parter Cold Blood and the
Yeah,
other
he did
one?
this the Silurian
I'm
two-parter.
surprised we wouldn't see him again. Like in the same way Moffat reused the Weeping Angels because that was.
In fairness, it was probably Moffat who said, "Hey Chibnall, do this script," and Chibnall was like, "Oh yeah, I guess I'll do that."
It must
Like,
actually be very weird for them to work for each other. Like work with each other, sure, but like when one of them's the showrunner and one of
I
them's the
sure wish
writer and
this would come.
around. Like Chibnall has written for RTD and Moffat.
Yep.
Moffat has written for RTD, but not Chibnall. And then we've never seen as far as I know, we've never seen RTD write for Moffat, or we've never seen Moffat write for Chibnall. Like it's always been one way.
Yeah. Which, hmm. Oh well.
It would have been interesting to see them all like stick around as writers if they're all like close. I don't know. I
I'm
suppose
I'm
once
sure
you've
it's just
shown
I'm sure it's just
well,
budgetary though. Like if you think about all the
yeah,
writers of like the RTD era, it's like they're all basically fans of the show. So it's like this the show becomes this like circular what, you love Doctor Who? Ah, cool. You can write an
yeah,
episode. With Moffat, like
yeah,
he brought in like Neil Gaiman, who
yeah,
arguably wrote like some of one of the best episodes ever.
mm,
Um,
yeah,
and like you get a sense of like, oh, there's some familiar names here, but they're bringing a lot of new blood as well.
yeah,
Whereas with Chibnall, it's just been like new blood, except for him. Um,
yeah,
and it kind of makes me think that like getting in the new blood is probably just like a cost cutting thing.
yeah, possibly. I mean, yeah, it is interesting they haven't had any big name come in to write at all.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the it's I really probably should actually check what Maxine Alderton has written up until now, because
that's a good.
she's currently the best writer the show has.
Yeah, which is weird because like we're basing that off the one episode that just
Yeah,
wasn't as like. So I worry we're doing that of like again. I want to give praise to like where it deserves, but it does feel like weirdly jumped the gun in the like. I fully agree when JX basically said that's like the one saving grace episode that has some potential. But even then, I was like, it's still it's by comparison. Like it's because expectations are low. It's fine, but like I guess for me, even like the fact I really enjoyed the Frankenstein aspect. But I remember thinking that when we got to the second half and it was a Cyberman episode, I was like, oh, we've gone from really unique premise
but
to it's a Cyberman episode. And I remember
but
being like, I like that, but it's like, I don't know. Again, that might just be a mandated thing, but there's just a part of me that goes, I still remember being somewhat disappointed by it.
But did
So
you
it's
not
weird to
get the
think,
connection between the man-made monster and is he really a monster? And the answer is yeah,
yeah,
he killed his own kids because they rebelled against the Cybermen, but that's not the point. Oh my god,
yeah.
it's Kaminari attack. Ah, that's old.
But that's the thing. I suppose, like, yeah, in hindsight, I'm like, it works, it makes sense. But I guess I'm just like, I'm not going to get my hopes up that one single writer is going to be good in everything. Like, look at Neil Gaiman. Neil Gaiman is a great writer, and we have one very great episode and one very forced, rushed episode. So it's
I
like,
would go
even
as
when
far to say it was bad.
yeah, like well, I guess I've always been more of a defender for Nightmare and Silver than a lot of people. Like I just like seeing Matt Smith play evil. Um, that's it.
Yeah,
I
that's as much of the episode as I remember.
Yeah, because I can't defend the Cyberman upgrading and walking through water and all that, or speed running, or the kids. Like,
Oh,
there's
the
a lot
kids
of
are the
issues with
worst
that.
part.
Yeah, but like as far as just Matt Smith, and I've seen people hate on Mr. Clever as well. I completely get it.
Who the
But
fuck is
Nightmare on
Mr.
Silver is
Clever?
one of those the evil version of Matt Smith.
Is that what he's called?
Yeah, that's what he calls himself. It's a complete Moffatism.
Right.
Like yeah, I'm like yeah, it's one of those episodes that I'm like, I love it for this trope. I totally get why people don't think it worked. But I'm like, I'm just more of a defender for it than anyone else because I just like seeing characters and actors get to play evil versions of themselves. It's
Right.
just next
What
to
are your thoughts
evil
on the
players.
Zygon two-parter?
Oh, yeah. Although I don't feel like Clara got to play as evil. Like she's very.
Well, the thing is, she's
I would
not
have loved
Clara in that.
Capaldi play
She's
evil.
Zygella.
Yeah, no, but that's what I mean. Is like it's yeah, that too. I like because it's like when Tennant does the Time Lord Victorious thing. Like I like to just see the main character go rogue or even go evil. So it's like I
Right?
would have loved to see an episode where Capaldi went evil,
He did,
like just
remember?
to
It
root
was
with
the
power.
end. Oh, first of all, it was hell bent, but we don't talk
I
about that. And
remember.
also, it was that one scene from the Monk trilogy where he chastises Bill. I
Yeah, but
watched
no,
that
that's not
scene
evil.
earlier
That's
today, and like, just the speech he gives in that scene. Capaldi at his best. I fucking love the guy. Um, this immediately after he starts regenerating, everything falls to shit, and I hate it.
that's how I feel about Dark Water, where it's like I love the volcano scene where they're like he's
Yeah,
genuinely testing her and being like, throw the key, do as you're told. There's no other option. But then straight afterwards, it's like,
you
oh,
don't
right,
threaten
yeah, well,
me.
there's no the corner. Okay. Like, that is such a good scene in a vacuum, but it just
Yeah,
has a problem that you can't go anywhere with it. It's one of those cheats that I'm like, I totally get it. If I was writing this, I'd probably be stuck on the same. I don't know how you would solve this, but ah, that's yeah, no, but I like that's what I mean by when Matt Smith is evil, like he's converted by Cyberman. It's literally good Smith versus bad Smith. Whereas, like, yeah, Capaldi not being a nice guy is not the same.
yeah. No, I
Like,
know,
yeah,
but the fire in his
oh yeah,
delivery.
I'm appreciating a lot of Capaldi's speeches more now that we have the.
The
I
lack
can
of
only describe it as
nuance
Whittaker
and
has to say really chunky dialogue, and there's no gaps. Like as Jay pointed out, there's no interruption. Like no one says anything. It's just,
yeah, it's
oh, the
monologues
flux
of
capacitor, yada
platitudes.
yada. Yeah, and it's like, yeah, after stumbling over the dialogue, and every time I do this, I feel bad because I'm like, they're probably trying their best, but I just don't think it's acted well or said well. Like I can't tell if he's acting or the writing, but all I can ever say is that Whittaker in interviews is super energetic,
Yep.
then on screen not. And I don't know if it's because the dialogue is so overly packed, but then I look at Capaldi and go, his dialogue is overly packed, but he can just speech it. Like it's like Shakespearean versus people rehearsing Shakespearean. It just doesn't. The same issues are technically there in Moffat's scripts, but Capaldi just makes it work. So
Yeah,
I want to blame the dialogue, and then I'm like, well, yeah.
I really don't want to commit to the statement that like Capaldi's just a better actor than Whittaker, even though Capaldi might actually be my
No,
fucking favorite actor. Um,
yeah,
but I don't know what the quality is that Whittaker's missing other than the scripts are bad, yo.
yeah.
Which
And I
yeah,
think that's
again
like,
is we just keep going in circles as like the scripts were bad for Capaldi too.
yeah, I think that's the point. It's like I never want to say that Whittaker is a bad actress because I haven't seen her in other things.
It was great in
Oh,
Broadchurch. I hate Broadchurch, but like her delivery of scenes, not even like scenes with dialogue, but like there's during this whole discussion about her acting ability and the scripts and stuff, I was just thinking it's like there's a scene early on in season 1 of Broadchurch where she's just walking through a supermarket doing like her usual shop. And this is after, hey, my opponent surrendered again. Which probably means that Discord, that my internet is cutting out. Nope, we're good. She's just walking through like a supermarket doing a usual thing. Her son has just died, and she stops in like the cereal aisle, and she's looking at the box of the thing that he would normally have. And she just
yeah.
breaks down, and it's like, oh, this is really good stuff.
Cool.
I don't think
Yeah,
Chibnall
and I
wrote
think
this.
that's the evidence I'm looking for. Is like I never want to say like so and so. I mean, I say I've already contradicted myself. I never want to say that someone is bad at their job, but like based on this era of Doctor Who, that's all I have to go on. So it's like I would love to see Whittaker in something that makes me go, oh, she can act great, but I struggle to say that with just the material she's given in Doctor Who. In the same way, I'm like, maybe Chibnall has written something really good. I know people like Broadchurch. I
They're
watched the
wrong.
first episode, didn't love it.
They're
But
wrong.
it's like, well, because I even like went out of my way to be like, you know, there's writing is hard, so maybe we're just getting a struggling season at a time where the behind the scenes is struggling, and it's not representative of their overall work. So I looked up an interview where Chibnall was talking about how he has a background in theater, and I'm like, you know what? I can see that, like the costumes and the sets and all that. I mean, actually, no, I say that TARDIS not so much.
The
But
only one I can see the costumes with is like the hyphen with a 3 from Orphan 55, who looks fucking atrocious.
yeah,
That's the only theater influence I can get, because the production values overall are pretty damn good.
yeah. But I guess what I'm getting at is like that's where I feel like the bad dialogue comes from. Because when you're writing theater, you announce what you're doing so the back row can tell what's happening. Like theater is very telly, as far as I know,
Yeah.
but not in shows where you're sitting like 5 feet away from the TV. So I'm like,
Yeah,
I'm not
in theater
then
you're
I'm not asking-
exaggerating, because...
Yeah,
And building
I've
off the
already
energy of the night.
yeah. So it's ultimately like. Again, I know. I think in the last thing we recorded together, I was like, "Why does Chibnall have this job at it?" And now I think I'm at the point where I'm like, I want to say he's a good writer, but just give me some evidence, please, because I don't want to say it based on nothing just to be nice. But it's like I do believe then that he's very invested in theater and storytelling, and like he got into TV because he likes theater and stuff. Like that's all fine. But then I'm kind of like, well, then I imagine he has strengths in theater, and I don't see how that translates. That's bothering me in a sense, because I'm like, it would be really nice to say they're all good at their jobs. This is just a bad instance, but it's like, yeah.
Look, I feel comfortable saying that Chibnall is really bad at his job because, you remember me describing the end of season 1 of Broadchurch, like how they catch the murderer?
To an extent.
Okay, do you remember that I said he turns himself in after like 8 fucking episodes of like false leads, red herrings? The guy is just like, I can't deal with the pressure. I'm gonna turn myself in.
Okay. Yeah.
It's like David Tennant has like the phone of the killer, I think it is, and he's like tracking he's tracking the signal of a phone that communicated with the kid who died, and it leads him to the guy's house, and the only reason he's like turned the phone on and like made himself trackable is because he's like, oh, I'm gonna turn myself in. So like,
Yeah, that's not great.
it's painful watching David Tennant do that, because like you're so used to Doctor Who and going like, there's something clever going on then.
Yeah.
And there's going to be some amazing, like, this is essentially a murder mystery. The mystery is going to be solved in like a satisfying way. The murderer saying, oh yeah, it was me, I'm sorry guys, isn't satisfying at all. Also,
No.
do you remember me describing season 2, how that ends? So the murderer is put on trial in season 2, and the family have to go through the lengthy trial process, and their hope is like, oh well, he'll be found guilty and they'll have closure. They get to the summary hearing, and he's like, I'm gonna plead not guilty. I've confessed. I did kill this kid, but I'm not guilty. And you go, clearly that's going to be struck down because you've been interviewed by the police at this point. You've confessed. You had the phone. All the evidence is piling up. You're clearly guilty. but he, at the end of the season, is found not guilty for the murder of the kid, because after he was brought into police custody, his wife, who is a cop, went into his holding cell and beat the shit out of him for being a fucking piece of shit. And it's like, oh, I'm sorry, that's a completely justifiable thing for a human to do, and that shouldn't be counted as like, oh, well, he's clearly not guilty because his wife beat him after he confessed to causing the death of a child. That's like season 2 and the end of season 1, and basically the whole show is just like, do you want to sit and watch this murder mystery that's super unsatisfying, unrepresentative of real life, doesn't understand humans? What the fuck just happened? I don't know what just happened, but
beep.
but yeah, it's like, how did he get greenlit for a third season after that? Because like I can understand after season 1, sure, it's popular, it's shit, but people like it. After season 2 though, and he went on to do Doctor Who after this.
Oh, I see what you mean. I thought you were talking about Doctor Who.
No.
Like,
no, there wasn't a murder mystery in Doctor Who. There was barely a question.
I understood you were talking about Broadchurch, but then like at the end of it, I thought you were going, and then he somehow got greenlit for 2 separate seasons of Doctor Who.
No.
And I was like, well, clearly after this, they looked for someone else. But I don't know. There's a problem with all this like speculation stuff. I'm like, I believe the rumors that, you know, Chibnall was only there while they found someone else, because I was thinking that from the beginning. But that doesn't even mean it was true. It's just something that I was already thinking, so I then believe it sounds true. Like, there's still no evidence to go on, so yeah.
I can only believe that for this last season. Like, I genuinely believe, even though they're fucking wrong to do this, that like they saw Broadchurch and were like, we'll get this guy, because this is hard-hitting drama, and yeah, it hits hard, but like in the wrong way.
Yeah.
But then after 2 seasons, like I genuinely believe they were just like, okay, Chibnall, you gotta leave, go.
Yeah.
Why did I do that?
I mean,
shit.
oh yeah.
Oh wait, hang on. No, it's fine.
And there is a part of me, like, again, I'm pro RTD coming back only because he's been doing a lot of good shows since, and basically what everyone else has said about how, you know, he's got all these shows down, he's won awards, he's known in the like all this stuff. But after looking at all the, on the negative side, after looking at all the interviews with Eccleston, after what we know about the
John Barrowman and what's the other guy?
I forget, because I feel like we're all trying to forget him, and I'm like,
it was Mickey, but I don't remember his name.
Yeah. I remember his character name, like Noel Clark.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, it's like there's a little part of me that goes, well, Eccleston has already openly said he's not coming back to the 60th because they haven't patched things up, and Russell was very clearly one of those people. It's just like there's too much evidence that RTD was involved.
I don't think I want to say evidence. I would say there's it's like
not just involved,
smoke.
Just like, how could you not know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, yeah, I'm not saying he like contributed
or
did it. The fact that Eccleston said, I saw what was happening, it was unprofessional, and I went to hire people and got silence. I'm like, well, who was that if not Russell? And then when he said he quit because he's like, again, I as I'm speculating, I'm trying not to speculate. It's really hypocritical.
Well, yeah,
but
I know.
I can't help but think Eccleston has very clearly said, without direct accusation, he fell out with Russell because he saw what was going on and they didn't do anything. And if he still feels mad about it, then I'm kind of like, you should be, and then shouldn't we be? Like, with all this, don't let people in power who abuse said power thing. I know, again, it'll be that it happened like 10 years ago thing, but like, it will be 10 years now. But at the
Yeah.
same time, it's like, yes, but it hasn't been addressed because RTD openly said he didn't know about it. But I guess I've had a lot of jobs where I've heard the phrase, didn't know about it. And I don't think that should be an excuse.
Yeah. See, I think I was excited when they announced Russell was coming back, but now we're like, what, a month out from that announcement?
Yeah,
It's been like a month, hasn't it?
I think so.
Well,
Yeah,
here's the thing. It could have been a month. It could have been just 2 weeks. I don't know anymore.
yeah,
But I've just become like, oh, he's coming back. That's really desperate. The show's not going to move forwards, probably. Was there really no one else in all of England?
yeah. Yeah, there is that, like, what opportunity do we miss? But I don't know. It does speak in two different directions. Is the BBC trying to recreate what they had before? I'm assuming RTD doesn't want to do that, whether that's what they're hoping for or not. But whether he'll get tempted to. By the way, a commenter said hi.
Hello, Fox Hunter. How's it going?
Yeah, on the one hand, I'm like, I'm sure that RTD is coming back because he has new ideas, so I'm not concerned about that. But there's always the possibility of it. And like, even if he does have new ideas, he had his time. So it's like, I'm not. I don't feel like I'm ever fully gonna be on the we shouldn't have got him, because ultimately I'm like, yeah, the show's in a bit of a disrepair, and we need
Oh
someone to
yeah,
like
sure.
we do need safety. But I'm like, I agree with what people said about when he comes in and does his work, and then we say, see, the show got fixed by him, and then he leaves. How do we fix that issue without him? Like, we don't want that to be the precedent. So it's, yeah, it has its pros and cons. It's a very marketing strategic move. It just really depends on what he does with it. I think 2 years away, and it's very easy for us to jump to conclusions, because this is what we do with Doctor Who fandom. We take stuff and
What?
go, oh
No,
no, this is
I
gonna
look
work.
for hard evidence. That's what I do. I place since yesterday, sharks to toads and utopic future dragon easy board to make. Oh, yeah. Man, I wish Ghostrick could make utopic future way more consistently than it does. I also wish the card wasn't like expensive as hell. That's why I moved to simulators. I can't afford this
Yeah,
shit.
I remember when the Legacy of Duelist first came out, and I was like, hooray! Finally, I can collect all the cards. And then I think, like, after playing it for a really long time, I was like, wait a second, I still don't have all the cards. And then
It
realized there
was
was an
so
online
close.
version already.
Hmm.
I thought stuff like Dueling Book and that was owned by the YouTubers who were using it. I never realized it was just a free service until way after
Yeah.
going, damn, I wish there was a free service. And then was like, oh, yeah. Well, that said, I miss real cards, but again, my store is shut anyway. So it's like, and again, lockdown, it's like, it inevitably was going online anyway. I don't know if you've heard, and whether it's even in your like wheelhouse, but the Magic the Gathering like official tournaments are, or maybe I've misheard this, but like there's either slowing down or closing,
Oh
because
fuck!
I think in these
Finally.
like have, well, they used to have like prize things, but people literally couldn't make a living on it. I feel like I'm going off one video I watched that said this, but yeah, the basic thing was, is it like stopping? And I'm like, yeah, well, Yu-Gi-Oh's been doing that though. Is that they don't
They don't have
have a
prize money.
prize for
Yeah.
the game. It's just you play it for the game, and it kind of just makes more sense. Barto said,
Do
"Do
you have
you
a
have a
favorite
favorite card?"
card ever? Probably Silent Magician. I think it was like 2016 or 2017
Yeah,
redo. Just because it's neat. I like that it's the card that ended the Duel Monsters series. 'Cause, like, if you remember, Yugi used that to attack Slifer.
oh yeah,
So I think that's really, really cool. The fact that I have a playset and it just keeps going up in value, it's like, that's a good feeling.
you have a playset of them now.
I've had a playset for years now. But
Ah,
like, I bought them when they were like $20, and now they're like 80. That's probably an exaggeration. They're like
right, yeah, yeah, no,
60 or so.
maybe it has been years and I just can't track time, but like, I thought you were still, um,
What's still
I thought
after
you were still
like more of
doing
them?
that. Yeah,
Nah. Because like they're in the deck that, or at least they were. I don't know where they are now. Um, they were in the deck that has like the invoked, the Wind Witch goes into Crystal Wing. Just a really bullshit spellcaster deck.
yeah.
I,
No, it was fun while it lasted then, because I had a Silent Magician that I just liked because it's shiny, and Neko always wanted it, and I always felt bad because I was like, I know Neko wants this, but I want to keep this.
well, here's the thing. I still kind of want it. Well, just because like
Yeah.
I own one of the Silent Magician retrains, and like
Um.
one of the things that I'm always like really interested in is like building in real life decks inspired by the anime. Um,
Yeah.
the issue is like you can't build just one Yugi deck.
Yeah. No. No. Wait. You could build different eras, I
Yeah, no,
guess.
that's what I mean. You'd have to build different areas. You
Oh
go
yeah.
like, okay, you've got
Yeah.
the But then you've got the issue. You've got like the episode 1 Exodia list, and then you've got
I
the
am.
episode 2 onwards Duelist Kingdom list. And then you've got to figure out, okay, where does that stop, and when do we start injecting the Battle City stuff, and that has to be its own
Yeah.
deck.
And even then, like I've looked up like what decks they had at certain times, and you realize that Yugi never actually showed a 40 card deck.
Hmm. Yeah.
When I say never, maybe did on occasion, but like
It was always blending up like these
always like,
sub archetypes, episode by
yeah,
episode.
like you'll either go, oh, he's got too many cards for a 40 to 60 card deck if you're doing them all in one go, or you'll go, oh, it's the Exodia deck where we saw like maybe 10 cards.
Yeah. And that's kind of what I have in mind, is like I would build a Yugi deck for the different eras. Because like with Joey, it's really easy. Like he's got maybe 60 cards, you can shave that down to 50.
Yeah.
For Kaiba, it's like you just play Blue Eyes and just good stuff.
Anything, yeah.
Yeah. Basically anything that comes in like ultra rare from the legendary Kaiba set. As for Yugi, it's like, oh, if I could get like another copy of Silent Magician, I would definitely use those in like a Dawn of the Duel final battle deck.
Yeah.
But I'm not that invested in the idea, specifically for that one. It's just I got a lot of Duel Monsters Yugi collector stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I bought like one Seal of Orichalcos, but I'm like, I like the idea of the more niche characters. That but I actually now that I think about it though, some of them are just like, the guy from Seal of Orichalcos era, where it was just like he just plays all the legendary weapon like Graal and the
Yeah.
sword thing. I forget what they're called, but like it's just an archetype, and you're like, oh, this isn't a personalized deck. Oh,
Yes.
so
I'm glad Nibiru from the tins are going up. Got a playset when it was $10 a piece. I still don't have a single copy of that, and I bought 3 tins. And also, if you ever
I
get a
think like
chance,
the one out of them gold. That was about it.
the
So you're
tins,
saying,
the tins one look way better though. Like prismatic secret rare.
all right. I think I'm in a rare spot there where I like the rares and super rares more than the prismatic. I find the sparkling a weird effect.
And also,
I
if you
just
ever get a chance to check out the videos on YouTube called Everything Wrong with Yu-Gi-Oh! Pretty good chuckle. Are they the ones by Civet? Because if they are, I've seen them, and yeah, they were quite good.
Oh yeah, I've seen that. I think I recognize the
The word
image
Civet. Yeah.
thumbnail. I words sometimes just don't come to me. I
He's like
recognize the
this
thumbnail.
berserk
I've
looking
definitely watched it.
guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, Civet. He also does game reviews, but I've literally not watched anything other than that.
Yeah, I was also watching a series that was like Yu-Gi-Oh cut down to like a minute each episode, which I found really good. Because then I was watching the actual show and I was like, oh, I see what they've cut out. And yeah, like actually watching them a minute at a time just felt like a good speed run. Like it didn't actually, you didn't lose anything. It was
Yeah.
just a good way to experience the series. Also made it funny, I think, because there was just certain times where jumping from one thing to another thing would give it a humorous angle. Like I think in the first episode, it's like Koba's like, "Oh, a rare card," and then he's like, don't show this to anyone. Give me your card." Okay.
Yeah, that's the Yu-Gi-Oh! Bridge kind of aspect.
Yeah, but only using the actual show.
Yeah, exactly. I wonder what they're
Ah,
doing.
there's
I saw one where
I
it was
said like,
Kaiba vs. Emo Peter Parker.
yeah, I
Oh,
sent that to Neko. I think Neko saw it as well. But that is great.
have you seen Squid Game?
No, I don't understand what Squid Game is. I keep hearing it mentioned or seeing
It's
like
a
YouTube
Korean
thumbnails of it.
a Korean series. This is probably gonna be the last match. I want to go to sleep. Um, but like it's just this Korean battle royale thing. But I think I sent you like an edit of Toby Maguire playing the games and like winning them
Oh,
all.
right. I think I did see one where. Hang on, now I'm thinking. Yeah,
He
there was
like
something.
he
There was like
shoots
Squid
web
Game.
at like the big doll, which blocks its eyes, and then he's able to run over the
Yeah,
finish line and he's cheering. He's like doing the
yeah.
train web thing, winning tug of war.
Yeah.
Love Squid Game.
Ah,
Yeah, Squid Game was okay.
see, I loved Emo Maguire. Like I've seen the one where he
He's a
um,
fucking asshole. I
he's
love
on
him.
Family Feud. Which one?
He's a fucking asshole. I love him.
I like the one where he's on Family Feud and like he's answering the questions and then loses it and just like smashes the entire scenario. I love the fact that they can take these versatile comments and that people need to do more like Star Wars ones. I know there's a billion like Star Wars prequel memes, but I want to see like Anakin deals with other situations more. Like basically Emo Maguire, but like angry angry Anakin
Yeah,
Skywalker.
just take him out of context, put him in new
Yeah.
ones.
Yeah, I just love that. But yeah, the comment in the Kyber one where he's like, "Oh, Exodia, how'd that get in there?" I'm just like, it's brilliant. The lines are so like cleverly picked. Ugh. Also, actually, that's what I used to love about. Someone did like meme trailers for Infinity War,
Right.
and it was like I loved that because I got the hype of seeing the trailer, hype of then trying to decide what the trailer was doing, like trying to unfold spoilers and whatnot. And then I got the third whammy of like people throwing in other things to the trailer.
I'm just thinking of like
Um,
they're running through the Wakandan battlefield and Tobey Maguire's just taking off his shirt to reveal the costume, and he's also running with them.
yeah. Um, yeah, I mean, I also like the ones where like Emo Maguire comes through the portal and whatnot.
Now dig on this.
He just like defeats Thanos easily. The only time I will
I'm gonna
accept
put
Thanos
some
being
dirt
defeated
in your
easily.
eye. That's
It's
the
just
thing. If Tobey Maguire is in Spider-Man 3, I want him to be Emo Maguire.
yeah.
Because I'm the only one who's gonna be happy with that. As like
I don't
literally,
feel like
I
if
I feel like I'm living in a fucking fantasy world where like uh, I just scroll through Twitter and I see like, oh, No Way Home's trending. Did they release a trailer? Nope. It's just people going like, oh, we can't wait to see Toby in the new film, and he's gonna be really cool. He's gonna be a really accomplished Spider-Man, and he's gonna teach Tom all the right lessons. As if like these are the same people complaining that Tom Holland is a bad Spider-Man
yeah.
just because of like the writing is terrible, and they're like, oh, so these writers handling a character you like, you think that's gonna be good?
Yeah. I
Beyond
mean,
that, I just don't want the
why?
Spider-Men in this film. I think they serve no purpose.
Yeah, I feel kind of timeless child about it as well. Like it's gonna mess so mechanically with everything that I'm with you in that like you may as well just then meme it up because it's like the whole Hello Peter thing. Like, don't worry about it making sense. It's not going to. Like, just do stuff.
Here's the thing.
Like it's
We know he's talking to Tom Holland. People say, oh, because Tom Holland's wearing in that scene the suit of hang on, wait. Oh, this fucking means I don't have Macabre, do I? No, you've got to be kidding
that's
me. No, the Earth one. Shit, I don't have it. No, but like people say, oh, because he's wearing an outfit that looks very similar to one that Tobey Maguire wore at some point in like the Raimi trilogy, that must be like Marvel screwing with us, and that's actually Tobey Maguire, but they've swapped the face to hide his identity in the trailer, and I'm like, guys, what's the fucking point?
See,
You're,
I find that's where I'm at with the Andrew Garfield thing as well. Is the like
I feel so sorry
I
for
don't
him.
get I don't get the if they're not in it at this point, Marvel really should have said something because it's like you're. I mean, but people were already theorizing. Like, I mean, I think actually I say theorizing. People were already. We were getting comments from the actors themselves saying we're in it. So like we know that Alfred Molina was in Spider-Man. It wasn't just leaks and stuff. Like he was being interviewed.
Yeah.
But it's like so. If they've organized that, then unless he is just some parallel universe, nothing to do with it thing, which then we're in the same thing as Ralph Boner.
You know,
Like, I hate that.
no, that just reminds me. It's like if the Spider-Men are in this film, what the fuck was the point of bringing Evan Peters back as Quicksilver only to not do that?
Yeah,
Because it's like,
yeah.
oh, if Marvel clearly had No Way Home planned out years in advance. Probably. Let's face it, it's a machine.
Yeah.
But like, surely they could have been like, oh no, WandaVision writer Jack Schaefer, we're planning the multiverse, so like if you could keep Quicksilver as this fun thing for fans, and also actually Quicksilver, that'd be great. Don't throw him off as a joke.
Yeah.
It's
And I'm then worried that they're gonna do the same thing here. It's
yeah,
like,
I'm just
if they're not in it, then please debunk it. If they are in it, then please reveal it already, because this whole speculation thing is just sort of like, I don't buy for a second that Andrew Garfield isn't in it, only because and this isn't me like rooting for him to be in it or not in it. It is literally just they interviewed him and said, "There's the leak of you being in it," and I know people have said, "Oh, it's a fake, it's not a fake, whatever." I don't know what to believe anymore. But the fact that he was like, "Nah, never heard of it, never seen it, yeah, nah," and then like 5 minutes later he goes, "Oh, yeah, I have seen it. Yeah, totally fake." I'm like,
well,
what?
I can understand the position he was in of like, oh, there's this image online. Okay, where's there's no tangible evidence, so I'll just deny it. Oh, but we've got the photo here, and it's like, oh, actually, I've seen it. It's trying to cover all
Yeah,
bases because he.
that just looks super sus.
Yeah, no, I know it
Which is the
looks.
problem. Like,
I know it looks sus,
if,
but I
if
think people are reading too much into it, and I'm just like,
and then like actually debunk it. Like, Marvel, stop putting Andrew Garfield through something you
the
know.
thing is, no, they're not even doing this. They're Marvel aren't the one putting him in these interviews. He's doing it for other things. So like, this is just really unfair to him. And I've never felt sorry for someone who's so so much more wealthier than me.
I guess then if I was him, I'd be annoyed by now. I'd genuinely be like, stop asking me. I'm not in it. I can't make this any more clear. I'm not in it. But instead he's just like, oh, nah, if they haven't, if they ask me, like, maybe he has to be polite, but I'm like, yeah,
Well,
no.
that's the
At this
actor
point,
thing is
make
like
it
you
right.
never directly say no, you always try to leave the door open to possibility.
You
Which
can
is
say I might
which is
do it
fucking
eventually.
stupid, yeah.
Yeah, because there's no possibility if he's not in it. Like, we just reach a point where they're going to disappoint people if he's not in it.
That's the thing.
I'm like, I'm in that boat. I'm like, I want him to be like, storytelling wise, I'm not sure if it's the best move,
It is
but if
absolutely
they're
not.
already doing the villains, just do it. You may as well. You've got your multiverse. Do it while you have the chance.
That's the
I
thing.
don't think it's going to be functionally good, but just do it.
Kevin Feige has, in the last year, I'll say, delivered some absolutely fucking galaxy brain quotes. But recently he was interviewed for an Empire magazine thing promoting No Way Home. And one of the things that he talks about is fan expectations and rumors. And he
Right.
makes it very clear not to put stock in rumors and not get upset with a film about for what you expected rather than what you got. So,
Which I
like,
agree with,
yeah,
but
like,
they're in charge of the marketing.
yeah, but that's the thing. It's like
It goes
he's
both ways.
yeah, I know it's frustrating, and also I wonder how much of this is actually just Sony rather than Marvel.
Oh yeah, I still remember the video where Kevin Feige was like, "I'm trying to keep the secrets," and then Sony was like, "Here's everything," and you just see him go like,
It's just this film. If I was gonna say, if they're not in the second trailer, that should be conclusive. But no, fucking morons on the internet are gonna say, "Ah, nah, they're saving it for when people are in the cinema." They're not gonna. Here's the thing: if they're top billed actors in this role, they've got to be on the poster.
And even if they're not, like, it's not
No, but like billing doesn't even have to
What are
do
you
with like your
saying?
screen time. Harley Quinn was like the highest billed. Oh fuck, what's her name? The actress. I've forgotten her name, and she's Australian.
Um,
Margot Robbie. She was the
yeah,
highest billed, I think, actor in the Suicide Squad, but she had less screen time than like Bloodsport. So like, it it doesn't matter if they're only in it for like 5 minutes. They're probably some of the higher paid actors in the film, and thus they would
yeah,
be fighting for like poster space because it's
and
just
that's where I go.
advertising for the actor.
Like, was Mark Ruffalo credited in Thor Ragnarok?
Yes.
Okay, because I was like, the movie clearly thinks it's a surprise,
What? No.
but
He
the
was in the
trailers
trailer.
didn't. Yeah, no, but the trailers spoiled it, but the movie acts like we don't know Hulk is in there until it gets revealed, or at least Thor doesn't.
Well, it's really taking like the trailers should exist in this nebulous space that doesn't impact the film at all, because the film
Yeah,
deserves to be experienced in a sort of vacuum, at least the first time.
yeah,
In that like if the film itself, regardless of like what a trailer has done, is trying to present a scene one way, um, I don't know what could have an impact on that. As like,
yeah. And you could argue that, like, if people are like, oh no, it's the surprise that counts. Well, I've never believed that surprise should be the main element of a story. Like, if the surprise is all you have, you don't have much. But if, like, it's like with Alfred Molina, it's like, well, if you want the surprise of, oh, Doc Ock's in the movie, then don't show us any character at all. But clearly, you're like, well, we need to show people something in the movie, and we want to give them a surprise so they can look forward to how that develops. Then by all means, you should be able to show Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield in the trailer. So then we go, oh, what are they going to do with them in the movie? I better go see this thing.
the thing is,
As opposed to watching to see them show up and then go, oh, there they are, yay! And like, you get that 5 seconds of hype, and then maybe people love it just because they showed up. But like in hindsight, you're like, well, now that we know that, so what?
you know what? Next time I see my lady friend, I'm gonna ask her, because she doesn't exist on the internet. Basically, she doesn't read plot leaks and rumors really. So
Yeah,
I'm gonna ask her like, oh, if the 3 Spider-Men are all in the film, what are they gonna do? And see what someone who isn't that invested comes up with.
yeah,
Because like that's who the core audience really is.
yeah.
It's not these hardcore fans who are speculating on everything. Otherwise, WandaVision would have been a triumph.
Yeah, which is weird. I didn't know who.
You didn't know who Mephisto was at all. I had to
No,
give
no,
you a
but I
fucking
didn't know.
crash
I didn't know
course.
it was either. Like, yeah, and I stand by that. I know I'm coming at it from a bit. I was one of those people going, Mephisto sounds good, but I wasn't actually. I was never like, oh, I want Mephisto because I've seen anything about him. It was purely they kept mentioning devil references, and I was like, if it's not Mephisto, I don't know what any of this is for. And then I learned my lesson. The Marvel doesn't think that connectively.
Yeah.
As much as they give the impression they do, there's a lot of stuff they throw in there just for reference or just for a joke. And it
Yeah.
increasingly bothered me because then we got Falcon and the Winter Soldier. There was a lot of characters we'd seen before, but I didn't feel like much progression in the way of things outside of, Anthony Mackie dealing with Falcon stuff. Like, which sounds fine. It's the main character dealing with things, but they had each episode to me seemed like it was about something else, and it was just constantly throwing.
Remember
Other
that time
things.
Zemo was dancing?
Yeah, I remember that.
Uh.
Yeah, and it's things like that. So then we got to. I've always said it as I loved WandaVision as a sitcom concept, weird mystery thing, but I hated the ending.
Oh yeah,
I
no, it's
didn't
a
mind talking about
fantastic eight
Loki.
episode miniseries. It's a horrible 9 episode miniseries.
Yeah, but I guess what I was saying was like, I I hated the end of WandaVision, the middle of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and the beginning of Loki. Like I was invested in WandaVision's mystery, but caught on towards the end that it wasn't going anywhere. Then Falcon and the Winter Soldier was okay, but a lot of the progression was kind of derailed side plots. And then by the time we got to Loki, and it was like, ah, yeah, you were meant to escape, but the Avengers when no, so the Avengers were meant to time travel, but you weren't. I was like, what? How? And then the rest of the show was just somehow built on that. And I was like, okay, sure. So by the time we got to the um,
Bang
what's
scene.
his name, first thing, I was like, yeah, of course, why not?
Well,
Like,
hang on,
I
that's the
wasn't
annoying
quite
thing
sure what to.
actually. Of like,
Yeah,
I remember some of the discussions surrounding Loki. It was like episode 3, people were really on board with the theory of like, oh, it's all leading up to Kang, and it's gonna be He Who Remains, who uh who is the final twist villain of Loki. And I was like, oh, there's actually no evidence for this, so you're really just pulling it out of your
yeah,
ass. And it turned out that's exactly what happened.
yeah, and
Which is
that's
really
the thing behind it.
depressing.
Like, I was bitter about Mephisto, even though I didn't go in expecting Mephisto. It's just that it was so mysterious that it convinced me that's what was happening.
Yeah, I think a
So
lot of the discussion surrounding the show also was like, oh, well, there's all these references, and I've read comics before. I know that because the twins are involved in this series, it sort of
yeah,
would make sense for Mephisto to show up here, even in a small
and
bit
how
role.
can work on them, and yeah. Well, it's like, yeah, he explained everything we didn't have an explanation for,
Yeah.
but then we still got Agnes, who we also didn't have any reference for until Theris went, "That's cool, Agnes."
Well, no, no, no.
So,
We knew that
so
since she was announced.
did
Like,
we?
yeah, way back in like Comic-Con when they were like, oh, and this is Agnes, Wanda's nosy
Oh,
neighbor. Everyone was just like, oh, well, that's
oh, sorry,
Agatha
yeah.
Harkness. But we
Yeah,
didn't
no,
know
but
how
that's
she
the thing.
fit into it, is all.
Well, see, I feel like I didn't know who Agatha Harkness was until they
Right,
started telling me who she was,
right.
and that's the same time I found out about Mephisto. So it's like there's just this weird thing for me where I'm like, people were going, yeah, why do you theorize? It's your own fault. But then the same theorizing was the only reason I understood why Agnes was a big deal. So it's, and then we got to Loki where it was Kang, and I'm like, so are we doing? We should read into this or not? Like
Yeah.
it feels like, and it's fine. I get why they want to pick and choose. It's not, they want to be able to do references. They want to be able to pull things from the comics and surprises. It's just hard when we can't tell what's a reference and what's foreshadowing. But I think more, it's for me, it's a case of I was really into WandaVision and it disappointed me. Then I increasingly got disappointed by each following series. Given
You
that,
still
like,
haven't
I
seen
didn't
Black
even
Widow.
see Black Widow. No, and I haven't seen Shang-Chi. And it's, I say it like, well, I haven't seen it, so it must be bad. It's more just like, I've gotten to the point where I was really into the MCU. I was keeping up with all of it. I was on the websites going, what do we think's going to happen next? And I was never like, oh, we're theorizing this, we didn't get this, I'm disappointed. Like, I was genuinely fine as long as the movie was good.
Yeah.
Like, and
And
then,
even if it wasn't, we knew that the Russo's film was coming up, and that'd be good, right?
yeah, or even like Age of Ultron, I remember watching it the first time, really up, just the seats we had, I was really up close, couldn't tell what was happening. Went and watched it again and went, oh, this is actually meh. Like, and maybe it was because I was watching it twice, maybe I just wasn't feeling it, but like, I've watched it many times since, and now I've concluded it's really messy. Like, I've tried as hard as I can to make as much as I can, but I guess my point is, even with Age of Ultron, I was going, that's fine. They're setting up Thanos. They're setting up the Infinity Gems. It's going somewhere. So we still had some tentpole safety nets to hold on to, and I think it's just gotten to the point where I'm actually going, oh, well, Black Widow came out and people didn't seem to enjoy it. Like, it feels weird to genuinely go, I don't care what comes up next. They actually have to sell me on it. Like it was almost a free gift of like a
Hmm.
Marvel movie came out. You were gonna see this by obligation, which I'm still doing for Doctor Who, even though it's a complete train wreck.
Yeah.
It it's funny that I've quit the MCU mostly. I say mostly because I'm like maybe Doctor Strange 2 will get me back in, but that's the only thing I'm remotely excited for.
It's probably sad that like I consider myself of like all my friends like the last man standing with the MCU.
Yeah, well, I think that's because you came in the latest.
Yeah.
Like you started when it was starting
I started
to
at Civil
be.
War.
Yeah,
I like, oh
with
fuck,
Iron
Civil War was
Man.
delightful.
Yeah, I remember seeing Civil War when the theater was packed, and it's one of the few movies I've seen with a packed theater. Usually, I like to go alone. Like I'm genuinely like, if I see it on my own, there's no one to like talk during it or shout stuff or
Yeah.
you
That's
know
why seeing Dark
kids whatever.
Phoenix was a good thing when we went and saw that.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, with Civil War, because it was packed, I remember the moment early on where Cap falls off the truck and like hits it hard, and I remember the entire audience go, "Ooh!" And I was like, I feel like if I was on my own, I wouldn't have felt the impact so much. But seeing the entire audience react to that made me go, "Oh wow, yeah, the like he's in pain."
I mean,
And then same when Rhodey was falling, I was like, "This works. This is really
yeah.
good."
I think the one thing I will say absolutely against being with an audience is like when I saw Endgame, hearing audiences laugh when Thor said "I went for the head" really still pisses me
Yeah,
off. It's like, no,
yeah.
you didn't understand that, you
No,
stupid
it's a
fuckers.
tragic line. It's meant to be a tragic, but it's hard because it was memed in between. Like I totally
Oh
understand why
yeah,
people went, "Oh, they said the thing. They said the we went for the head. That's a joke. That's a meme," and like got the wrong reference.
Context. Look. He doesn't look satisfied. He looks like it's tearing him up inside. My boy.
It reminded me though of when the Russos were asked, "Are they gonna do Thanos?" And they would go,
Oh, did I mention that the zombie episode of What If confirms that that theory would have worked?
"Oh no."
Well, I mean,
Oh,
sure, they don't do it to Thanos, but like, there's a
yeah.
shot where Wasp flies into zombie Sharon and then as miniature Wasp character, and then expands into regular human size, and Sharon explodes. So
I think,
Ant-Man absolutely could have done that.
yeah.
This is the world
This is
we
why
fucking
I
live
avoided
in.
What If. This is absolutely why I avoided What If. I was just like, I looked at it and went, this just looks like nothing. Just like, I like the concept of What If. Like we were talking back when, like Civil War was happening. So like, what if Ultron won? And I
Yeah.
remember saying like, you know, if he actually turned everyone into robots and his army was up against Thanos' army, but it was actually like a shield around the planet, and they couldn't get in because Ultron is undying.
Oh, actually, can I just say
Yeah,
before I forget? So I watched the making of What If, and you literally just reminded me. So in the making of, they say like, oh, Ultron, he's going to be our final villain for this series, and he's going to be an Ultron who, with the power of the Infinity Gauntlet, erases all life in the universe. And he gets to a point where it's all silent because there's nothing else in this universe that he's able to hear and sense the presence of the Watcher. Um,
right.
that's a fucking lie because back on Earth, Black Widow's still alive. She's just there. Like all the nukes have been launched at the Earth and she's still there.
Yeah.
Like at
And
this point in the film, it's like no, Ultron, you suck. Writers, I hate
Well, that's the
you.
thing. Like the one scene I've seen from it, which again, I look into these things like maybe I'm wrong, maybe, and then like if the first thing I see confirms it, sure, maybe that's bad faith, but I'm like, surely your show should be good enough that if I look into it and see exactly what I fear to see, then at least part of your show is doing that. So it's like the scene that I saw was when Vision Ultron slices Thanos in half,
Yep,
and he just like flops apart, and I'm
yep,
like,
he's like
this
jelly.
is your main villain for 10 years, and you're like, what if Thanos was incompetent? That shouldn't be your idea.
Yeah, I've
Like,
seen.
yes, what if Infinity Ultron was mega powerful, but then actually show like Ultron versus Thanos? Or
Oh,
like, because we have those mega powers go up against each other, not just nah, he's more powerful. Kang is the ultimate. Like, there's a point where I'm starting to lose the concrete nature of the MCU, and what if for me is like that flippancy. Just nothing matters. There's no stakes.
there's
Yeah,
another really insulting thing. Just listening to the writer and director of the show is like they started with looking at the characters and what's at their core, and they would always try to put them in different situations but stay true to the core of the characters. Um, so
yeah,
how do you explain Thanos becoming a good guy because he listened to a conversation?
yeah. It's exactly what I thought of. And like, Nebula is at a party.
Oh, they fuck up Nebula so hard it hurts. Like, genuinely, of all the characters that I feel bad for in What If, it's like Thanos. Yeah, I feel really bad for you, but Nebula absolutely suffered for their sins.
Yeah,
Like, how do you go from I was tortured by this purple alien, uh, for basically all of my developing years to it's okay, uh, I'll have a slightly positive relationship with him because he only tortured me a little bit. I'll reconcile
yeah.
that.
I'm genuinely starting to worry that's the case for the regular MCU too. Like the fact that
No,
Gamora got
they can't
resurrected.
be that stupid.
Well, I mean, we've already got Kang in the multiverse and everyone. I mean, we were saying everyone's been resurrected as a joke really early on anyway.
I think
But
Heimdall's
like,
the
we're
only
at
one
the
that
point
stayed
where,
dead so far.
yeah. Well, I guess it's just, yeah, the notion in itself that like Black Widow got her own movie only after she died. Loki's still alive again. The Infinity Gems don't matter anymore, and I know saying that like a lot of people have already said this, and I was even then like, this is actually a small thing, but it is a small thing with big ripples. Like, I I hate that that's what it got focused on because it's a symptom of a much larger thing. But at the same time, it is like there are a lot of things that were hugely built up over the 10 years of MCU that they are already with only a single phase going, oh no, that didn't really matter. You know, Kang's more powerful than Thanos. The Infinity Gems didn't last. The yeah, witches were there all along. Like even the witches thing isn't too bad. It's just like
Yeah.
the
Well,
longer
it
we've
doesn't it
gone,
doesn't power
the more,
creep, it power plateaus.
yeah, it's just like skipped a step. And now it's like all the things we were meant to take seriously aren't being taken seriously.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for Tony to just come back
They
as a joke.
they killed Tony a lot in What If.
Yeah.
He's killed by Hank Pym, he's killed by Ultron, he's a zombie who gets beheaded by Wasp.
And see, it's gonna lose its weight. Like I feel like it feels like, I guess at
He
this
gets
point I'm
killed
trying to
by
defend myself
Killmonger.
I'm recognizing at this point I'm getting to the stage of like I need to defend this because people are gonna accuse me of such and such. But it is just like
Phase 4 sucks
it,
though.
it feels like gatekeeping purely because it's like I want to keep the 10 years sacred because we built up to it for a reason, and it's frustrating to just undermine it so quickly. Like it feels very like, to give an example, you got the 7 Harry Potter books and then Cursed Child.
Hmm.
And Cursed Child is like, oh no, time turners work the entire time. And now you can just go back as far as you want. Also, the trolley lady has ninja stars. And Cedric Diggory is a Death Eater, and Voldemort had a child. And you're like, where did all this come from?
I
It's like, well, we can do whatever we want.
I'm
It's
really
like,
upset that you remembered all that because I completely forgot that Cedric Diggory became a fucking Death Eater.
never getting over it.
That
Yeah.
is fail to
But
understand the
that's what we're
assignment
reaching.
101.
Yeah, but that's what I feel like we're reaching with the MCU. It's like they've just forgotten to keep anything grounded and connected. And so it all just became a joke. Or at least like it's
It's
even had a solid direction before.
yeah, it's really taking away from the things we cared about.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. I still care about like Doctor Strange and Wanda. I don't care about the new Vision. I care about the old one now.
And that's why it really concerns me that in the Doctor Strange No Way Home trailer, he's like, oh yeah, I won't do the spell. Yeah, I'll totally do the spell. We don't have any,
What? No, he said to Wong
genuine
he won't
motivation
do the
here.
spell. Like he.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting because like I think that's pretty consistent with Doctor Strange because like in his first film he's told don't mess with time and he messes with time and it's fine.
I suppose.
Like he's
Yeah,
always been sort of reckless with like what he can and can't do when it comes to magic. But
yeah,
that always comes
I
from like
guess.
a point of like he's studied this, he understands the consequences. Or
Yeah,
or if he doesn't understand the consequences, he's gonna learn really fucking quickly.
I guess that's fair. I worry it's becoming increasingly weightless. Like I still have issues with the Iron Man 3 Tony telling the villain where he lives thing. But like that at least felt like a grounded character mistake. It was an annoying one because it's like, Tony, you've had 3 movies and an Avengers film. Why have you not learnt to be impulsively egotistical? But at least it's like I don't feel like they did it just for a joke.
Why did he send
Like,
why did he tell the Mandarin his address? Why not just say meet me at Stark Tower?
yeah,
He's a
because he
fucking idiot.
wasn't thinking. But that's the thing, like it felt like it was part of the story. They're like, oh, he wasn't thinking. He was very angry. He's going through a PTSD thing. I'm like, I don't love the choice, but at least that seems like a thing Tony would do. Whereas, I don't know, is there something about the way he winks to Peter with Doctor Strange? I'm like, this feels like Nick Fury before they revealed he was a Skrull thing. Like, I'm sitting there going, he feels out of character. Like, he is out of character. It's a twist. And I'm like, that's not much of a twist, though. It's not. How do I know it's not just badly written? Like, if it looks badly written, and then the trick is that it's poorly written on purpose, I'm a bit confused. It's a weird way to go about something. I don't know. It's the same. I guess it's the example I would use is Mark Ruffalo at Endgame.
Yeah.
No, not Endgame. Infinity War, where he's very slapsticky, and I'm like, clearly they wanted him to be funny, but personally, I find it a bit overblown in a scene where we're in the middle of an action-packed battle. Like, and he's slapping himself in the face. Come out, no!
I
Like,
I
I'm
understand
like,
the
this is too
intention
funny.
completely, but yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's like I can tell what they're going for,
But like
but
I
it's
wouldn't even
too.
describe it as I don't think when writing it, Marcus McFeely would have been like, yeah, and this is a comedic moment. I just think that was Ruffalo's performance. So like
Yeah,
uh
maybe.
I imagine
There's
on set
nothing
they were
about it.
like, oh, it'd be really cool that he's like really frantic and desperate.
Yeah,
And the Russos were like, oh yeah, that's an interesting challenge to what you expect.
yeah.
Or I don't
Because
know,
now
I
think
don't
about
actually
it,
know.
right?
Maybe they were like, oh, the film's fucking bleak. We need someone to lighten it up. Let's use the character who wasn't on Earth for like how long?
Yeah. I mean, maybe, but that's really the thing, isn't it? Like, if it was meant to be serious, it didn't come off as such, and if it was
Yeah.
meant to be comedic, it was in the wrong place. Which, like, I would then point to when Tony's like, "We're gonna fight the Squidward." I forgot his name. Oh, Ebony Maw.
Yep.
Like, Ebony Maw was a threat. Tony saw him as such. Tony called him names because that's what Tony does when he's threatened. And then, like, Hulk wouldn't change, and he's like, "Come on, you're embarrassing me in front of the wizard." I don't mind that comedic dialogue so much because that feels like, well, yeah,
Yeah,
Tony's trying to show
Tony's
off.
performing.
Yeah, and Hulk is trying to, like, yeah, Bruce Banner is like, "Oh, well, I've kind of lost touch with it." So I'm like, that is a comedic moment based on character and the situation at hand. Whereas just Mark Ruffalo bumbling around just feels like you could cut this out.
Mm.
I can see how dialogue wise you could argue, no, this is an important moment for Bruce and Hulk. But I'm like, yeah, but it just doesn't. It lifts right out. Like, you could
Yeah.
put this scene elsewhere. It might be an important scene, but it doesn't go here.
I think it would be better received if he had the Hulk transformation at the end. Because then you're not looking at it like, oh, it's funny. It's you could then play with like the desperation and the relief when he finally is able to like come together.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Actually, that's interesting. Yeah. No, because at least, yeah, you then could go, oh no, this is here because later in the movie
Yeah,
this
it's
happens.
setting up something.
Yeah. Whereas, like, you could still argue that, I guess, but it's like, if he's gonna end up at the same point at the end of the film, but this time he's fighting for himself in the Hulkbuster armor, by all means. But Hulk, even at the end of the movie, is oddly comedic. Sorry, Bruce Banner at the end of the movie is oddly
Haha,
comedic.
you
Like, he's,
guys are totally screwed.
yeah. Which again, I know that they're
That's
probably doing it
Ragnarok.
for Ragnarok.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's then, I guess for me, the only reason I took issue with that, like, Bruce Banner's arc in Infinity War, as much as the arc itself is fine, it is the performance and the way it's utilized. But the scene when they're all sad and, like, you know, Vision's died and everyone's.
Oh, you're gonna say he's horribly composited on?
No, I find it funny that I obviously worked at the time, because I remember we were all sitting in the cinema going, wow, like, you know,
Holy
sitting
shit.
through the credits. Okay, but now when I rewatch it, what makes me laugh is that everyone's kind of hanging their head a bit, and it just looks like they've got, all right, everybody look sad, and then you just see Mark Ruffalo just tilts his head and go, oh. And
Well,
it's just, there's something just
you know that that's
about it.
because what was it? At that point, they were convinced that he was going to be Hulk at that point, so they had to hurriedly
Oh,
put him in the Hulkbuster for that.
oh, okay, so he does look weird.
Yeah, that's why it looks
Yeah.
weird, because like I'm pretty sure explained it in the Endgame thing of like they had to redo some of the stuff in the
Yeah.
garden because he's meant to
Which
be Hulk at
totally
that
makes
point, but
sense.
he's in the Hulkbuster. What's going on,
And I can't
Bruce?
tell you how much vindication I feel from that as, like, trying to study this stuff. That, like, not only we were looking at the Hulk thing and going, it's weird that they just randomly had him merge together. That's weird. And then the Russos are like, yeah, it's because we had him do that in the last movie, but then had to move it, and we had to improvise
Yeah.
something last minute. Like, we noticed a thing that the Russos were aware of. And then I think it was Infinity War, where Ebony Maw was such a threat, and then he got yeeted out the window.
Alien
And I was
style.
like, yeah, and I was genuinely going, oh no, that feels a bit cheating. And I remember people around me going, well, you know, you can't, you know, it's not necessarily a cheat. It's just like, you know, that's how he got defeated. You know, not everything has to be big and dramatic. Then the Russos in the commentary are like, we know we cheated here.
Yeah, we couldn't
Like,
figure out a
we know
way.
we cheated. Yeah. And I was like, just, I like that me and the Russos are on the same wavelength. And so, as much as I seem to get annoyed at this stuff, I always want to emphasize that it's me going, oh man, I wish everything could be perfect. I'm aware that I'm like, look, in the same perspective, I remember when Infinity War happened, I was trying to predict what would happen in Endgame, and ultimately just going, I don't see how they make this work. I just don't. Like, how do you, if Thanos is the main villain, he was already the major villain, and what does he do? Get the Infinity Gems again? He's already got them. What do you do? Like, kill him, and then, like, then who's the villain? Like, if they go back in time, then how do you fight Thanos when you're gonna fight past Thanos? He was useless. Like, oh, just this stuff. And then when the movie came out, I was like, you know what? I think they did the best they could. There's some loose points, but they honestly did the best they could. And then in the
Yeah.
commentary, they were like, we genuinely didn't know what to do and thought, let's just kill him. I was
Well, it
like,
was
yeah.
the producer. They said was just like, why can't we just kill this guy? And then they were like,
Yeah.
yeah, actually, that sort of fits with his perspective on the universe. Like the work is done. So what does he need to do anymore?
Yeah. And I mean, I hope one day to get into why that isn't a full solve, but yeah, it's good enough.
Yeah.
Although actually, if
I mean,
like if
it's
you want to
it's
base
very
on
weird to say like, once you've achieved your life's purpose, you just die.
yeah. But it's like, I think Endgame actually pays that off in saying like, it's like, oh, that's destiny. Like that's it's
Destiny
when he gets
fulfilled.
the head, he's like, yep, makes sense. It's like that helps. If you have the actual character go, that's exactly what I was after, then you at least go, oh, okay then.
Yeah, there's a sort
So
of you can learn a lot about his mindset from that. That's really I
yeah,
really I can't understate, like Thanos is just an interesting character.
yeah.
Um
I've always theorized that, like, I mean, again, I agree with the Filmento thing that Thanos is a weaker villain in Endgame because
yes.
his
Because
motivations and whatnot kind of drop.
yeah, well he's not the lead character anymore. We're not occupying his headspace. We're occupying the warlord Thanos' headspace where
Yeah,
at this point he hasn't lost Gamora, he hasn't lost. Well, because like the point of Infinity War is he's constantly losing things to get what he
yeah,
wants and sacrificing things. So that's gonna reveal things about a character and also change things about a character. And I wouldn't necessarily
yeah.
say
Well,
Thanos really changes. It's just he gets
yeah,
sadder.
yeah, and like that's meant to be the big motivation. Whereas
Yeah.
I really still lost Titan in 2014,
Wait, what's
or
this?
sorry, in 2012 or whatever. The previous Thanos,
Oh, it would have been
like
like
past Thanos 2014.
way before that.
Yeah. Oh right, because he cites that as the reason he splits everything in half.
Yeah.
Um, there's actually, now to think about Cap's shield getting split in half, I'm like, that's a really smart move. Um,
Kappa's
but
like,
no,
oh my god, it's even lighter. Wow, thanks, Thanos. My weapons are perfectly balanced, and he just punches the shit out of him.
actually, yeah, the comment that Ken Feige wanted to kill every character, I now can't see Thor's blade thing in any other way. Like the fact that Thanos is trying to dig it into his chest, and then we're kind of like, Thor didn't get his moment. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
because he was meant to die, but
Yeah, oh, actually, that would have
hmm,
been a really interesting thing of, like, Thor dies there, and Cap inherits the power, and
yeah.
sort of,
But, like,
it's,
imagine how anticlimactic that would have been.
oh yeah,
Like
no, no,
Thor
no.
dies,
That's the
then
thing, like, I think it's a really terrible idea,
yeah,
just sort of in execution, or at least with the film that we got, it doesn't work. With a
then you're trying to
hypothetical,
like picture. Oh
if,
no, like yeah, Hawkeye dies early on as Ronin.
no, because he has to make it to
Then
Vormir.
oh yeah, I don't know how they'll do this. Yeah, I'm glad the
Yeah,
Russos just went
you'd
no.
have to redesign the entire film, but it's annoying because I'd be like, okay, well, Hulk still dies doing the snap. Um, Tony
Yeah,
also dies doing the snap, but uh,
yeah.
what are some other things like?
Oh,
Cap
that's what I'm
still
saying.
lives happily ever
Like
after,
yeah. Who are we missing? Like Hulk, Thor, Cap,
and Black
um,
Widow. Well, Black
Black
Widow dies on
Widow.
Vormir.
Yeah, I always feel like I'm missing someone. I'm like, literally, it's just Hawkeye and Thor, and I get Hulk survives. But yeah, because I keep thinking I'm missing somebody. But no, I guess what I was saying before is like my theory is that the Russos made Thanos more generic on purpose
Yep.
because they're trying to mix him better with the 2012 sitting down Thanos. And I still don't know how I feel about that because I'm like,
Oh no,
it makes
that's
it more canonized, but
I.
it's also, didn't they do Infinity War to fix that? Like,
Yeah, no, no. I thought what you were
it
saying
didn't
is
make
they
sense.
made him more generic, so because the whole point of Endgame wasn't necessarily to have a complex villain; it was just to have a force of nature fighting them.
Maybe that too, but yeah.
That's what I thought you were gonna go with. But yeah, no, like I would never defend like Thanos is fucking terrible in Endgame.
Yeah.
I
I
like him
think for me,
still,
it's
but
when I look for like tentpole things to go, this is why. I think the line that Scarlet Witch says, where it's like,
you
that
took
you took everything
everything
from me,
from
I don't know
me.
who you are.
I
Like
hate
that
that.
really solidifies it because it's very much like your villain is literally saying, "I have no connection to this." Like that's
Yeah.
the quickest death of a villain.
Oh, I'm really glad that Wanda went on to like fucking go at him.
Yeah,
Literally.
which is actually what I commend the Russo's challenge in that because if you've got a finale with that many characters, you know that like Tony has to snap the thing and defeat him because like Tony's like the centerpiece. But then it's like, okay, we got to give Cap his moment, or he's going to stand up to the army. That makes sense.
Yep, Drax
And then we're
isn't
going
gonna
to
get
give
his moment.
Thor. Well, because yeah, like you're literally going down the line of like, let's try and give Avengers a moment, and then it's like, well, no, we need to give like the people we've brought back a moment. So Black Panther, Spider Man, all the new ones can like carry the gauntlet across. Like, cool, all right. But then like, oh, we need to give Captain Marvel a moment because otherwise, what's she
And
doing
she
in the
just
film?
destroys an entire spaceship.
Yeah, but then
Ugh.
also has to fight them single handedly. But then it's like, okay, but Black Scarlet Witch now needs a moment because like you can see the Russo's brain just burning because it's like we got to give everyone a moment to defeat Thanos without ever showing that Thanos is losing.
Well, hang on. That's the thing, because the Scarlet Witch one is like, yeah, no, they actually show that he's losing, and he actually has to like
Yeah,
decimate his own troops in order to get out of that bind.
yeah,
And that's the thing.
and that's what I really like
I'm
about that.
pretty sure the Russos cared more about Scarlet Witch in that uh Scarlet Witch and Iron
Yeah,
Man in that entire battle than like basically anyone else. And like
but I
massive props to
totally
them.
get
That
that.
is the
Like,
correct decision.
yeah, yeah, it's like at some point you're like, okay, which characters actually have priority here?
Yeah, not just because like she's my favorite character, but because of like the end of Infinity War is like, oh, if you don't do
Yeah,
that, you're actually fucked.
yeah. In some, I never thought about that till now because remember I was saying that again, my theory going into Infinity War was the smartest thing they could do, and I can't believe they did it. Was like again, I felt vindicated that like they're like we got all these characters going up against Thanos. Sure, you got Thanos as the one villain, the Black Order for the people around him for Avengers to fight. I was totally on board for that. And then I was thinking like, but how do you have all 6 Avengers doing stuff? Because Age of Ultron showed don't just have them all splintered off. And then I was like, well, you do it like the main 3. So you have Tony off on an adventure, Thor, like A plot, B plot, C plot, and each character does one. And only when I was watching the film, like analyzing it a few times, did I realize that Cap's plotline isn't Cap's plotline. It's Wonders and Visions.
Yep.
And I'm like, but I hadn't thought about that till now. That oh no, hang on, I was about to say that Wanda actually gets the climactic decision because she saves Vision, then Thanos.
Yeah,
No, no, now
she's
I'm
then
thinking about
forced
it.
into a position where she has to sacrifice
Yeah, no,
something.
now they all get one because Tony loses his battle against Thanos, then Thanos disappears. Wanda loses her battle against Thanos, and then Thor comes in, and then Thor loses his battle with Thanos, and then the movie's over. So technically, Thor got the climactic decision. but they all got a major chance to beat him. And I hadn't noticed that. Like, I knew they all had a separate plot line, and that obviously Thor's decision was very important, and Wanda's decision was very important, but not until now did I think, oh, they all, like, they're the main three who get a actual major shot at defeating Thanos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm thinking.
I know, I love that I found a new thing in Infinity War. It's probably not new. I'm probably now stating the obvious, and everyone's like, "We knew that. What are you talking about?" But like, in terms of when I analyze this stuff, just like, I never thought of it in terms of the climactic decision, because I always just kind of thought like, yeah, Thor misses the hammer thing, and obviously people get some really important choices. But it's like, when they say Thanos is the main character, I guess that's because again, at the end of the day, he goes and does the snap. That's the ultimate decision. But I hadn't factored in whether the three main plots that I was saying should be the main plots, whether they actually got to have a decision of their own.
Right. Well, it's still the distinction between hero and protagonist. I just want to make very clear. Like, Thanos is the protagonist, not the hero.
Yeah, that's true. Because he's the one like setting the story in motion and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Which also I kind of hate as a notion. Like, there's, I get why it's simplistic for, mechanical terms, but the idea that you can have just one protagonist that sets everything in motion, I've noticed very quickly means that one character has full control over the plot, and it's very hard to throw any obstacles their way that make sense. Because at some point, someone else will be driving the plot to make them have to act.
That's like exactly why you get into a situation where you build up other characters to throw at them, and you're constantly going, no, Spider-Man, stay away, he's gonna fuck you up.
Yeah. That's why I'm also big on, like, it's not just antagonistic force.
Yeah.
But, like, you can have multiple protagonists as long as you have one choice. Like, again, at the end of the day, someone gets the last choice. Someone gets the last say.
Yeah.
So as much as you can have multiple protagonists, Tony's the one who puts the missile in the thing in Avengers 1. Like, he's just gonna get priority. But at the same time, you can still build each other character so that means something. And that's why I look at Endgame and go, oh god, like, how do you even approach this? Like, you want to give everybody their climactic choice moment because it's a big finale to 10 years worth of stuff. So like, that's why we have
you especially want to give it to the characters who are dying here.
Yeah, but even I would also say, especially the ones who want Thanos dead. Like, that's why it feels weird, like, the Drax didn't get a moment, because it's like, well, Drax's whole thing was that.
No, here's the thing that kind of bothers me about the Drax thing, is, like, people are really hung up about it. It's like, well, Drax has no purpose because he didn't get a scene with Thanos. When it's like, no, Ronan's the one that killed his family. He just said Thanos is the next person he needs to deal with because it's Thanos who sort of sent Ronan. And even then, like, I'm kind of iffy on that, because, like...
Yeah, at the end of the day...
It's not a huge loss that he hasn't had that scene, because, again, it was Ronan.
Yeah.
And, like, it was a line... It was a line at the very end of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1 that isn't mentioned at all in Guardians 2, so I can forgive the writers for not really focusing on it. And also, you don't need Drax to fight Thanos to feel, I guess, resolved.
And also, it's not like he was gonna win.
Yeah.
It'd be weirdly anticlimactic if Drax killed Thanos.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I think it's... as much as I really love the fact that Wanda, her path from Infinity War onwards was like, oh, I'm gonna fuck Thanos up, like, completely. You don't need to set every character on that path, and I think
Yeah,
Drax, in terms of like feeling, I guess as the Russos would say, like with Tony and his, the scene with his dad, for Drax to feel complete, a scene with like him and Mantis works a lot better
yeah,
for me than a scene of him fighting Thanos. Because I would just
yeah,
reference the scene in Guardians 2 where like Mantis touches his shoulder and she just feels the tremendous weight that he's carrying. And it's like, that is
yeah,
all you really need. Is like him sitting
yeah.
there comfortable with that.
And funny
And
enough, that's
at
why like I
peace.
wouldn't say I'm hung up on it necessarily. Like
No, but a lot of
it's
people
I don't
are.
think I've yeah, no, I get that. But it's because it's one of those things like if you introduce it as a thing in the resolution, like that is that's concluding that his arc isn't over, which is a big mistake if that's not then gonna be his
Yeah.
arc. Like it'd be like if you end Guardians 1 with Peter Quill being like, huh, I may not be entirely human. I wonder who my dad is. And then in Guardians 2 you're like, why would you care who his dad is? It's like because the movie told you to. But at the same time, that's what I mean is like it's such a challenge for the Russos in Endgame to be like, because all I'm looking at is like, how do you give that many characters a chance to shine? Like it is just some of them just had to be like, we're also here, but we don't have any stake in this.
Why was Rhodey
Because
there?
uh
I like Don Cheadle, but fucking hell, Rhodey is a worthless character.
yeah, this is gonna be one of those weird things. Like I don't know how many people actually feel this way, but I feel like me and you would just like, why does Brody exist?
It's
Why
the
is Brody
cheese
a
whiz
character?
line for me, like
Yeah,
like
yeah, it bothered me too. Like not as much as it bothers you, obviously, but like, yeah, no, the but that's really actually retroactively. It's just sort of yeah.
oh
The
I'm
line
I'm
of
actually gonna end stream now because I'm in the red again, and also it's been 2 hours since I said, oh, if it drops out again. Like that was 2 hours ago.
yeah.
So anyway, thank you everyone for joining me on stream. Thanks Brenton for